Howdy folks, Matty with Gulf Coast Fit. Joining me is the lovely Andrea. We're here in the Atitlan Underground. As you can see, we're hitting the deck, and that is because we're about to do some crunch work, some core specific training. We're going to share with you 10 different crunch variations. Most anybody who's been in the gym or not even in a gym has incorporated crunches into their exercise routine. And yes, crunches, they may be overutilized and overrated in some regards, but to counter that, in my opinion, doing different crunch variations is key to helping you maintain sustained progress and maybe get a boost of results, motivation, and a new way to attack your core if you've been doing crunches maybe in the same manner for a bit too long. So switching it up is key, variety is key. Our cores are designed to move in all different ways. So let's share 10 different crunch variations together, starting with the conventional crunch. That way we kind of lay the foundation for the 9 variations after that. So we're going to start on the ground, feet flat, knees bent. We're going to cross the arms in front. And remember, this is a crunch, not a sit-up. So we're going to take a big breath. We're going to start by pressing our belly button and lower back into the ground. We lift the scapulas off the ground, pause, lower it back down under control. Push the lower back into the ground, shoulder blades up, pause, lower it back down under control. It's not a great range of motion, and it helps a lot to get that big pause at the top of each rep. You see, it might not look like we're doing much work here, but when you engage and activate by pressing the small of your back into the ground and your belly button into your spine, those are really synonymous, just 2 different cues for the same thing. That helps you engage your abdominals more, your hip flexors and your neck a little less. And yes, you're going to feel your neck working when you're doing crunches or sit-ups of any kind. That's not a bad thing. But let's make sure you're not thinking about straining and lifting your head up as high as you can. Just lift your skull up along with your scapulas. No need to poke your nose forward or try to crank your forehead forward. Just think about belly button into the lower back. Let's get a few more. We'll get about 15 to 20 crunches on each variation. Enough time to get some good uniform reps and practice in, and enough time to work up a good ab burn. Let's get one more. All right, nice. Now, between each variation, take a couple breaths. Relax your abs. What we're going to go with next is a cross-leg crunch. Just like we're reading the paper, let's take one ankle, cross it over the opposite knee. You're going to take your fingertips of the opposite arm and put the fingertips on your ear, hand on the ground. So you see we've got one knee crossed, opposite arm, fingertips on your ear. And what we're going to do is incorporate that same idea, belly button into the ground, small of the back into the ground, but we're going to add a twist. Lower it back down. As long as you can pause, add a pause. That's a good rule of thumb to give your crunches a new lease on life, to give them to really level up and give your crunches some more effectiveness. And that's when you really feel the peak contraction of most any crunches, when you add a pause at the end of the range of motion. So elbows going towards the knee, depending on your mobility, flexibility, and limb proportions, you may or may not get that elbow all the way to your knee. Most people won't. And another thing to be aware of is that just because you're getting your knee to your elbow or elbow to your knee doesn't mean you're getting a better crunch, because check it out. I can get my knee to my elbow if I cheat and simply bring my knee and elbow together without really using my abs more. It's not making it more effective. Really just focusing on how far my abs can take me. We are getting some obliques here. Let's get a couple more. We're getting some obliques in the mix with this trunk rotation. A little transverse action with the twist. All right, disengage. Give myself a couple pats, a couple taps, a couple belly rubs. Get the abs to loosen up. Cross it the other way. Hand on the ground. Opposite elbow, opposite knee. And here we go. We start by pressing knee and belly button into the ground, or lower back and belly button into the ground. And again, we're not thinking about just bringing the elbow to the knee or the knee to the elbow. We're thinking about how far the crunch and the twist takes our trunk. So we do want to keep this pretty strict. We're trying to isolate the midsection, isolate the abdominals and the obliques. So just remember, it's not about getting your elbow to your knee. I can do that easily, as you can see, but it didn't mean I crunched further using the target muscles. So, somebody with different limb proportions, different spinal mobility, might be crunching with elbow all the way to the knee without cheating. And it doesn't mean that they're getting a better quality set than someone like me, I've got a good 6-8 inches gap in between my knee and my elbow. Doesn't mean I'm not getting a good set. Right now, the right side of my abs and obliques are on fire. So I'm getting a nice contraction, good pause, controlled eccentric. And I'm not getting caught up on how it looks from the outside. Let's get a couple more. It's always about your mind-muscle connection, especially in a targeted muscle exercise like these crunches. All right, whew. Disengage. Nice big breath. Inhale, expand, inflate. Not resting too long. And next, we're going with a straight leg crunch. Straight leg, straight arm. Arms up, legs up. I like to cross my ankles. And let's go into this. Push your belly button into the lower back. Lower back into the ground. Reach for your toes. I already feel like I'm about to get an ab cramp from these big paused reps. Strict, intense contractions. Halfway through the set, we'll cross our ankles in the opposite direction. Shoulder blades might only come a few inches off the ground. That's fine. How do you feel? Do you feel like you're engaging your abdominals effectively, strictly? Let's cross ankles the other way. Keep it going. Don't just free fall back down to the ground. We're not just letting gravity take us back down and plopping on the ground. We're working, resisting, and controlling the eccentric along with gravity. Whew. Let's get about 3 more. Whew, doesn't look like much, but it is much. All right, next crunch variation we're going to go with is a 3-way crunch. Some people call these pizza crunches. I've called them pizza crunches in the past. We're going to make a triangle with our arms, so palms together, shoulders and arms are making kind of a triangle. Spread your knees out a little bit, feet out a little bit. And what we're going to do is crunch in 3 directions. A multi-direction crunch here, starting with the center. Control. Then to the right. Get that twist in there. Control it back down. Center. Control. And then left. Control the eccentric. Back to the center. We always do center in between the right or the left. Back to the right. Control. Keep breathing with it now. You want to poke your fingertips through your legs or to the sides of your leg as far as you can. So reach forward with it. So yes, we're still crunching up, but with these pizza crunches, with these 3-way multi-direction crunches, we're reaching forward, reaching ahead of us towards our feet with our fingertips. There's a little bit more of a forward movement here than with something like the straight leg crunches, more of a vertical movement. We're on variation number 4 here. And I don't know about you, but my abs, with these nice pauses, controlled eccentrics, I feel like on any given rep I could start to cramp up. I like that. We like that. We're not just going through the motions. We're going for intense peak contractions. And that's how you get the most out of your crunches. Let's get 2 more. Probably one of the biggest mistakes with our overutilized, overrated crunches is just going through the motions, just moving our torso, moving our head, moving our shoulders up and down, up and down, up and down, going for reps, getting caught up on high volume, getting caught up on speed. It's really the opposite. You want controlled, deliberate contractions. You want peak contractions, pauses, slow tempos, and enough time to really feel like your abs are going to cramp up on you and make you want to quit. We're not going to quit though. It's not what we're about. Here we go. Set number 5, variation number 5. What we're going to do is incorporate some lateral spinal flexion in here. We're going to have our hands down by our sides and kind of call these saucer crunches. It reminds me of a saucer. You already know I like to make up names for crunches, and in the past this is what I've called these as pizza dish. We got a pizza theme here, or saucer crunches. So we're going to come up into a crunch, hands are off the ground, and we're going to flex laterally to the side. I try to touch my ankles with my fingertips. That's just me. But again, it's not about how far you go. It's what good quality range of motion you have. And you'll notice we're keeping the shoulder blades off the ground. That's what makes this very effective, is we're holding kind of in an isometric fashion, although it's not really isometric because we're moving, but we're maintaining we're maintaining a crunch, shoulder blades off the ground throughout this, while we pizza dish, kind of rotate like we're in our saucer, our flying saucer. Woo, this is tough. Breathe big. Recommit to your breath. It helps. Let's speed it up for 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh my Lord. We're at our halfway point, so we're going to take an intermission, flip over, stretch the abdominals out, get a little yoga inspiration here with what you might call a Sphinx pose here. Squeezing the glutes helps protect your lower back. Let your belly button hang heavy. Breathe big, diaphragmatically inhale, expand, inflate your abs, your ribs. Feel how that helps you stretch every ab in your 6-pack. 12-pack in Andrea's case. Let's get a few more big deep breaths. Deep, steady. Stay steady now. All right, we're gonna go into a side crunch. I'm gonna spin back around. Into a side crunch. I'm gonna start laying on my left side. Andrea will be on her right side. So your top leg is bent, foot flat on the ground behind your front leg, bottom leg straight. All right, we're gonna have your top arm on your top thigh. We're gonna have your bottom arm, hand across your body, arm across your body, hand on your shoulder. Go ahead and lay your head down as much as you can. All right, we're gonna press our obliques and the side of our trunk into the ground. We're gonna crunch the shoulder blades up off the ground, bottom shoulder blade up off the ground as much as you can. Lay back down. This is another good example of how you're not gonna feel or look like you're doing much, but you are doing much. This is another lateral movement, spinal flexion, the frontal plane technically. And the goal here is to slide your fingertips up towards your knee, keeping your chest facing forward in front of you, all right? We're not turning this into a big twisting towards the knee type of movement pattern. We're moving sideways. And you're gonna notice that it's very challenging just to get the bottom shoulder off the ground. That's fine. Same idea here is that we're not focusing on lifting the head and shoulders up necessarily. We're focusing on engaging by pushing your core into the ground down here in your midsection. Pressing the obliques and the bottom ribs into the ground in order to lift the shoulders up, in order to lift your head up, and in order to slide the fingertips up your thigh towards your knee. Let's get 5 more, a little quicker. All right, we're going to flip over, other side. Bottom leg straight, top leg bent in the back, hand on your thigh, bottom arm across your torso, and crunch, squeeze, pause, lower. Crunch, squeeze, pause, lower. Really doing this to target the obliques. That's why we stay sideways. We don't allow our torso or our body to roll backwards. We're not twisting. Not a lot of movement, but a lot of effect. We're on variation 6 here. We're on the back half. Let's speed it up for 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Nice, done. All right, we're going to roll onto our back. The next crunch variation we're going to do is called a K-State. It's called a K-State because I'm from Kansas, and back in high school, that's what our coaches called these, were K-States. So these might be called something different in every other state with different colleges. But we're going to start with our legs extended, fingertips on our ears, elbows in front, head is laying on the ground. What we're going to do is crunch and simultaneously bring our knees towards our elbows and tuck our elbows towards our knees. Whether or not you actually make contact is dictated by a variety of factors, but you're going knees to elbows, elbows to knees. Now note here, the feet always stay off the ground. Fully extend your legs, heels come towards and close to the ground, but they don't rest on the ground. Your upper body, however, shoulder blades and head, do rest on the ground. And I say rest with a grain of salt because we're not really chilling there. You just put your weight back down, go right back into your next crunch. Very important to think about engaging belly button into the spine, lower back into the ground. Whew, these are toughies. First exercise here where we're really hitting lower and upper together. Let's speed it up for 5. 1. Every breath, every rep. Just because we're going faster doesn't mean we're not keeping the quality high. We want quality and quantity. Whew, nice. All right, so now we're going into a contralateral movement pattern for our next crunch variation. Arms are straight, legs are straight. We're kind of starfished out wide here on the ground. We're going to crunch, add a little bit of rotation, and bring opposite fingertips towards opposite leg, or really like your shin area. So crunch, belly button into spine, spine into the ground, opposite arm, opposite leg, touch it, back down. Crunch, touch, control, down. Twist, make the contact, control. Remember, we press. Oh, sounds like we got a brawl going on out here. Not quite. Add the rotation in, a little transverse action with the midsection. Get your foot up straight. Get your leg up straight. Arms out wide. Working the lower abdominals when we lift the leg. Working our upper abdominals and our obliques when we lift and twist the shoulder blade. Speed it up for 10. Yeah, you heard me, 10 more. 1, 2, variation number 8 here. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Oh my Lord, we got 2 more variations to go. Couple big breaths here. Slight recovery. All right. Next variation we're going to do are called boxer crunches, or at least that's what I've called them historically. Boxer crunches. This is actually an old school crunch exercise. A lot of these are old school. They're just forgotten, but tried and true at the same time. We're going to have your knees at 90 degrees, feet off the ground. All right, arms crossed in front. And we're maintaining 90 degrees at the knees. Don't let the knees come in. Don't let the legs extend out. Keep them at 90. We're going to crunch, twist to the right, crunch, center, crunch, twist to the left. Similar to our pizza crunches, but different variation, different enough to be an entirely different variation. Feet off the ground, center right, center left, center right, center left. Keep that order going now. Gotta get a little more twist in there, a little more twist. Check your knees, 90 degrees. Cross your ankles the other way. Feet off the ground, keep our lower abdominals engaged, more so than the pizza crunches. Also keeps our hip flexors engaged. That's a good thing. Let's speed it up for 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, I like to finish with the center, so I gotta go 7. Okay. Whew. Now I've been saving my favorite crunch variation for last, bicycle crunches. In my opinion, these are one of the most beneficial exercises. I like them because they're a little more dynamic, a little more fluid. I feel like there's more moving parts. It's not necessarily the truth. There are other more complex variations, but I like bicycle crunches. I feel like not only are they tried and true, but you can always increase the quality and effectiveness by being more intentional with them. So let's start legs straight, fingertips on our ears, not behind our head. And we're going to lift the feet up slightly off the ground. We're going to begin to twist. We're going to keep the shoulder blades up off the ground the entire time. We've got a moderate tempo here. Moderate tempo. We're not going fast. It's okay if your elbows aren't touching your knees, but that is the direction they're going. Let's slow it down. Slow motion. Throwing a curveball at you. Slow motion both ways for about 10 twists total. And then we're not done yet. Elbows out wide. Keep them out wide. Now we're going with a pause. Twist and pause. Oh, it's a kicker. It's a kicker here at the end. Pause, twist, pause. Breathe. I know. Oh, burns like heck. Twist and pause. Twist and pause. 2 more pauses. And then what are we doing? We're speeding it up. Here we go. Speed it up for 20. 1, 2, 3. 10 more. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh my God. I'm going to be so sore tomorrow. I'm going to be so sore today. Let's flip it over. Let's get another ab stretch in. I'm going to turn that Sphinx pose into a straight up seal pose. Wiggle around. Make sure you protect your lower back by squeezing your glutes. Let your belly button hang. Breathe into your belly. Push the ground away from you. Oh, go back into the Sphinx now. You can do either variation, but extending the spine and opening up is going to help, especially if you're cramping up. It's going to help you breathing big, deep, profound breaths. Inhale, expand, inflate. Don't try to exhale. Just let your body exhale for you. Couple more. Oh yeah, there's a 10 variation ab crunch routine. Maybe some of those were new to you, maybe some of those were familiar to you, maybe a mix, most likely a mix. But like I said, crunches can have a new lease on life. It can become effective all over again if you start adding different tempos, more intentional uniform reps, and different variations and movement patterns, because our abs aren't just meant to crunch one direction, they're meant to twist, side bend, all kinds of things. A combination of different movements in one. So give that a go. Breathe big. Enjoy your six pack.